We're in a little bit of a chaotic mood this morning. We dropped it. I mean, this afternoon, not this morning.
Yeah, we had to go on early because we're meeting a friend for his birthday.
Also, for those of you who are watching us instead of the Met Gala,
Thank you.
thank you. I would love. You know what we should do one of these years?
Do a video on
Met Gala, and we should just critique them to the like.
We need to add the podcast.
Oh yeah.
In yours. We'll do it later.
We need to just critique the podcast. Not the podcast. We need to critique the Met Gala outfits. Just what were you wearing? Why would you choose this?
Thinking? Were you thinking it was pretty? Because it's not.
I found out there's quite a bit of banned people from the Met Gala.
We only got 60 views yesterday.
Oh.
155 on the unboxing.
Nice.
Okay. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Silk Road on the dark web. So the dark side of the internet, the Silk Road.
I told everybody to come take a drive with us on the Silk Road.
It's not that kind of road, Michelle.
I know, but it was kind of funny when I wrote it. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to fix it.
Come take a ride with us.
Come take a ride with us.
On the Silk Road.
Where did I go last time to find the live?
I think you typed it in. A&M podcast.
Well, no, it's on J&M still.
Yeah, but if you type it in, you typed it in. Also, are you subscribed to us?
Yes.
Okay.
Think about it. Let's see.
You passed us.
ASM.
A&M.
No, I know. But I was doing the clicky and making noise. How did I go past us?
No, you didn't go past us. Keep going down. I thought yours was like
Oh no, these are all the people we're subscribed to.
Alphabetized.
No. It's by the people that we watch. She says she's having a moment.
We organize
Yeah, it doesn't, or it didn't organize it for me. Wait, okay, so I did go past it though. Because it goes off how we watch it. That's why. In the office.
You are not subscribed to your own podcast, Michelle. Michelle.
What? Well, it's not even added on here. That's why. Yell at me. I will take it down. I gotta type it in. Sorry. We're gonna wait for people to come in anyways, because we don't want to start without peeps being in here. So if you are coming on here and you're like, why did they go live early? Because we had to. So we're gonna try and be
Podcast.
Not power. POD.
Also, if you guys want to go see a good recommendation for movies, there are two. Please watch The Thunderbolts and Sinners. Both really good movies.
Nice. Are you? Then snack on something.
You can have the meat. Just leave the noodles.
You can have the meat. She'll eat the noodles.
No. I just don't like meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I just...
Why is it not allowing me to?
Why don't you type it in by the name you put on?
It is that. That's the name I put on.
What did you name this live?
I put A&M Podcast Live. Episode 9.
But episode...
Did I put the wrong episode? No, it's be episode 9. Don't confuse my brain.
No, it is episode 9.
Episode. Don't judge me because I have to sound stuff out. I'm having fun. You're like, damn it, Michelle, what are you doing?
Go down to where lives are.
Wait, there we are.
Oh, there we are.
Finally
Woo!
found us
We
after
find ourselves.
5 minutes.
We did
40
something
seconds.
that takes people years to do. We found ourselves.
Still finding myself. Hi, Angie.
Hi.
Angie's like, I found you. But for some, we have to hook it up to the TV, add the account on there. So, but because we don't have 50 followers yet, which please go over to A&M Podcast, the channel that I separated from this one, and give us some follows. We need some more subscribers. We have 13 right now.
Oh no.
We have 13, so we need more. We need what?
We need 50.
We need
37.
37 more. Give us 37 more.
Yes, please. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Silk Road and the dark web.
Nice.
Very nice.
We're taking a drive down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're taking a drive down a really weird rabbit hole that has like some really weird things. So,
what are you doing?
I'm going to talk. Can we turn it down? I can hear myself and I don't like hearing myself. Okay, so I'm going to.
Good.
That's good. That's better. I'm going to be talking about the Silk Road today because I think it's important. Because while the start of getting access to the Silk Road is a little bit difficult, once you're on, it's actually pretty easy to be on the dark web and to be on like things like the Silk Road.
Okay.
And since we live in a world where kids are on the computer constantly, it's like one of those.
Plastic away from her. She don't try to eat it, please.
And since we have like the kids are on the internet all the time, I kind of feel like it's important to understand what this is and how this like might affect us.
Yes, and we will do the whole viewer discretion advised if there needs to be.
It's not really a viewer discretion is advised. It's more like it's just a really weird thing. So, and the reason I think it's really important is because when I was in high school, Silk Road was kind of in its height. When I was in high school and middle school, the Silk Road was kind of in the height. People were talking about buying from the Silk Road, and they were actually buying illicit items that were easy to hide from your parents. Like they were buying drugs on the Silk Road.
Oh wow!
And they were talking about it at school. If you wanted something and you didn't want to go on the dark web, you could just ask your friend and give your friend some money.
So you're probably going to what made them call it the Silk Road?
Yes, I'm going to go into the history because they specifically named it for its historical name.
Okay. Because I was about to ask you why did they call it the Silk Road, but yeah, you're going to dive into.
So, and then the reason I'm going to talk about it is because this person who created the Silk Road was actually pardoned from prison earlier this year. And there has been talk. Somebody did mention that one of the servers may have been popped back online. They don't know if that was a fluke or something else was going on. Okay. I'm not going to verify that myself. I'm not going on the dark web.
Yeah, it's not. We don't need the feds at our house.
But yeah, but there are people who have said that they have seen just like a potential server pop up that was originally a Silk Road server.
Okay.
Pop up. So a little history on the Silk Road is where we're going to start. So that is the actual physical Silk Road. There was a physical Silk Road.
Oh.
So it was a road that was used for 1,500 years to exchange goods and ideas among countries.
Okay.
The Silk Road started in China in 130 BB, so before, like, super, super early.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then the road went all the way to Europe, and when the Ottoman Empire closed, Ottoman Empire came around, it closed off trade in 1453. So from 130 to 1453 is how long the Silk Road lasted.
Oh wow, okay.
When the empire closed out trade to the west. Now during this time it wasn't necessarily called the Silk Road, it was just the path that was taken and everyone knew it. It's like saying I'm going to Phoenix. You didn't necessarily say you're going to take I-10.
Just say you're going to Phoenix. Everybody knows where you're talking.
Exactly. It was coined the Silk Road in 1877.
Okay.
It's about 4,000 miles of routes along the deserts and also mountains. And since no government controlled the route, it was dangerous to take it because there are many robbers, and so many people walked it in caravans.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, cities were built along the path.
Okay.
Some of the items that went through this path were, of course, silk from China, but also jade, precious stones, porcelain, teas, and spices from China. And then Europe would send horses, glassware, textiles, and manufactured goods. I forgot how to say textiles and manufactured goods.
Sorry.
It's
I was
big.
about to say something. I'm like, never mind. You got it.
So that's a little history on the name, and it's the reason to know it is the history of the name. It was because it was named after that.
But it's an actual real road.
It was a real road. It's kind of like
so even to this day, because they've changed it to the Silk Road, aka Dark Web, is that road still
that Silk Road is kind of the Silk
still
Road's
there?
still in existence. We don't necessarily call it the Silk Road because it is just like the route again that's taken.
Okay.
It's a historical route, so a lot of the routes that we go through, because cities were built up around the Silk Road, so we may not. It's just a matter of like
Okay.
we don't necessarily call it. It's just the historical term of Silk Road, and that's why the dude who named it Silk Road,
Yeah.
he took it from its historical meaning because the historical meaning was it was a road of trade, a
Okay.
road of free trade, and I'm going to specify free trade because that was really important to this dude. Free trade was super important. He didn't want the government involved in any trade,
Okay.
and because the road was not governed by any government, it wasn't governed. It's kind of like the perfect free trade idea.
Okay. And if I'm yawning, I apologize. This is not boring. I am just tired.
Um,
And if you haven't noticed, we're getting
yeah, pre-Halloween ready.
Halloween vibes and fall vibes.
Yeah.
Who is that? Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. So basically the Silk Road on the dark web became an illegal site with illicit contraband, but he wanted it to because he wanted it to be known that it was a place where you got what you wanted and when you wanted it, and there was going to be a wide variety. So
you can get what, like you're saying, anything, everything that you want. Jade's very expensive.
yeah,
So
on the
to
Silk Road.
transport jade,
Well,
that's a lot, and silk.
yeah, but for him, he wanted specifically the Silk Road on his side to be specifically about the trading of illicit things. And that was because, and this is where I'm going to mention political parties. It's not bashing, I'm just stating he was a libertarian. Um, and because it was basically considered to be a libertarian dream. Because the creator and founder of Silk Road, and I'm gonna call him for the name that he chose to be called name on the Silk Road.
Is this the dude that had the dumb names?
Yes, this is the
Okay,
dude
here we
with the
go, here
dumb
we go.
names.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna refer to him by his name until we get to the point where they first connect the dots, but then the dot like disconnects, and then they're like, I can't be this dude.
Oh, it's kind of like the internet.
Yeah. That he called himself the Dread Pirate Roberts. And if any of you remember, the Dread Pirate Roberts was from The Princess Bride. He was the pirate that kept his name and he passed it down, and he was like,
Was it Carrie Ellis that played him?
I think so. It was the main dude who was like he was in love with her.
Oh, Wesley.
Wesley.
Okay.
Leslie was the Dread Pirate Roberts.
That's
He
freaking
named
funny.
himself the Dread Pirate Roberts.
You don't deserve that name.
Um uh, so the Silk Road was on the internet. But not the one that we use on the day to day. It's on this thing called the dark web.
Okay.
Now accessing the dark web is actually a lot easier than one would think. You just have to download a program.
Okay.
It's called the where did I leave off? To access the dark web, you need to download a program named Tor, aka the Onion Router. Why?
Of unusual size.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of that, but I'm also thinking, Why did you name it the Onion Router? He didn't name it, by the way. This was somebody else. This was also another computer nerd who named the Tor program the Onion Router.
What? Because I'm gonna kind of quote Shrek. Ogres are like onions. You gotta peel them one layer at a time.
I guess. Um it's named that because it protects your IP, and you're right, because it protects your IP address by routing internet traffic through different networks and relays.
Angie says, sorry, Princess Brides. Onion router probably after the onion paper.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know.
But it was because
Hi, Willow. Did you
it
come on
protects
to
your
say
IP
hi?
address. Interneting, rerouting your internet traffic through different networks and relays,
Yeah.
so it kind of keeps your IP safe. So when you're in the Tor's website,
Yeah.
you can access more things that they purposely keep hidden.
Okay. Willow, your thoughts?
Um,
No thoughts? Not yet. Okay.
so you know how movies and TV shows show that it's like pinging in China, then Russia, then Turkey, and they can never find where it originates from?
Yeah.
That's what Tor is doing.
Oh, okay.
So even access to the dark web, you need to have this browser or another type of browser that does the same thing. So to access the Silk Road, you would have had to have Tor on your system that you could access it, and then that is actually where the real fun begins.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'm going to say that the Silk Road was founded in 2011 by the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Okay.
It was seen as a libertarian dream. Um, so a lot of libertarian ideas were spread on this website.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these ideas was actually found on the creator. His actual LinkedIn profile, not his Dread Pirates name, but his actual name, where he said, and was found on his LinkedIn account that since completing his studies in 2010, he was focused on creating an economic simulation to give people a firsthand experience of what it would be like to live in a world without the systematic use of force of the kind imposed by institutions and governments.
Yeah.
So basically, he was super libertarian. It was so you also now may be asking specifically what is a libertarian, because you may not know necessarily what libertarians believe.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't do politics. Yeah.
Yeah. So libertarians believe in a lot less government control over things. There are varying degrees to this. But a professor of mine described it like this because her son was a libertarian.
Okay.
It was, you know, how when the car companies found out that cars that didn't have seatbelts were causing more deaths,
Mm-hmm.
and they realized that seatbelts could actually protect people better.
Yeah.
Instead of the government intervening and saying, yeah, no taxes, no tariffs, all that other stuff. But
Or marching with signs like no newts. Oh, okay.
yeah. But it's like the government shouldn't have stepped in and said all cars need to have seatbelts.
Okay.
They instead, the company would continue to sell cars, but people would get smarter that they need to buy cars with seatbelts. So then eventually those cars without seatbelts would stop selling as much. So then they would be like, oh, we're going to take care of this ourselves, and we're going to stop producing cars without seatbelts.
Oh, okay.
And we'll just only produce cars with seatbelts. They basically believe that the government shouldn't have stepped in. Kind of like very limited government
Like,
overreach.
kind of leave it be.
Exactly. Um
Don't touch a good thing. Well, at least that's what they think.
da, 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 da.
Oh, hello.
So I'm gonna say some of the things that were on sale for the dark web, just so you have a heads up. What was on it?
Okay.
So we don't actually know. So he created this Silk Road to be a libertarian dream, to buy and sell illicit good and trade and sell illicit goods.
Yeah.
So so it started in 2011, right?
Yeah.
So by March of 2013, the Silk Road had 10,000 products for sale.
Wow.
70% of the things on the website were drugs.
Oh, okay.
This included, or not limited to, stimulants, psychedelics, prescriptions, precursors, um, opioids, ecstasies, dissociatives, steroids, um, and those kinds of drugs. Fake IDs were also sold on the site, as well as apparel, art, books, cigarettes, erotica, and jewelry.
See, the clothing and stuff like that, I would not think, but drugs and
Yeah.
erotica I would think that
It's
stuff
kind
would
of
be.
like if you were doing illegal
Thank you.
stuff, like if you were selling copyrighted goods that you're not technically supposed to sell. Like if somebody was making off-brand like Disney merch.
And they were turning around and selling it, saying that it was Loungefly or whatever.
Or no, they were
Thank you.
selling it's like not Loungefly, but like
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, cool, this is."
No, a Disney
Yeah,
item. I'll be
they
like, boy,
knew
would they
they
get
knew.
sued by Disney.
Yeah, exactly. It was a place for them to trade and do like things like that. So there was a sister site actually called the Armory that sold weapons, mostly firearms, but it was quickly shut down after a lack of demand. So not a lot of people wanted to go on the dark web and buy guns.
Well,
I will say that the Dread Pirate Roberts didn't want anything sold on the website that could harm or defraud, which I find to be hilarious because this man is very much like, oh, we can't have any government oversight. But he's like, we can't sell anything that harms or defrauds.
but you're
And
selling drugs and clothing and erotica crap and all. Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Okay.
So he prohibited certain things from being on the site. It's unknown if these are actually on the site and they were just super well hidden,
Mm.
or
There'd be a lot
he
of
was
digging.
actually removed from this. Like anytime it would pop up, it was removed from the site. Some of the things he prohibited was child pornography, stolen credit cards,
Okay.
assassinations, and weapons of any type.
Okay.
So you couldn't hire hitmen.
Okay. So give him. I give him credit for
Yeah,
not those.
you
Give him
know what?
credit
I
for
give him
that
credit too. I give him
because
credit.
a lot. Well, because if you think about it, a lot of people go for those
And
things.
there were other sites on the dark web where you could get this stuff. It was just so the
He
Silk
didn't want
Road,
it linked back to him.
the dark web is huge. It's like if you Google something and you get all those internet searches, the Silk Road was just one link. There's hundreds of other links connecting you to different things.
Mm.
So he was just like, I want my site to be a little different. And the reason his site is known throughout the criminal justice system so well
Mm-hmm.
is because how they caught him
Mm.
and because of how fast it grew
Yeah.
and the amount of things that were sold, the amount of history they were able to grab.
Okay.
Um, so there was a place on the dark web. You could go that there were no rules and the sites. So this was a place on the dark web where you could go. There were rules and the site terms of service it had less restrictions. So as much as I hate to say it, the Silk Road was very regulated for a website that liked to hate on government regulation.
No. Okay.
There were arguments on this, and it mostly came out during the trial. Um, no. There were arguments on some of the things. Like, remember how I said no assassinations?
Yeah.
They found on the because when they got him finally, um, they were able to pull all the chat records.
Mm.
So they found during the trial they found um I misspelled something.
But you hitting
So
it.
so when they were on trial, they found that with narcotics trafficking and money laundering offenses in connection to his sale of large quantities of narcotics on the Silk Road,
Uh-huh.
in connection with his drug trafficking on Silk Road, he claimed to have arranged for them. This one dude on the thing has said he arranged of 5 murders of 5 people for the Silk Road founder, Dread Pirate Roberts. So while the Dread Pirate Roberts put in his terms and condition, you cannot assassinate anyone. In the chat, this one dude was like, "Hey, I'm being arrested right now for like being all like selling narcotics," and he was one of the main narcotic sellers on the website.
Yeah.
He asked me to kill 5 people for him, and I killed 5 people for him. So while he said no assassinations, he was instituting assassinations.
Oh my God. You moron.
Yeah. Um.
Wow.
So it arranged 5 murders of 5 people for Silk Road founder Dread Pirate Roberts, in which he was paid hundreds of $1,000s in bitcoins.
Okay.
Um, there was also chat room evidence in the last couple of weeks of the Silk Road where the Dread Pirate Roberts, um, law enforcement does not. So they could not charge him on these murders though, because there was no actual evidence of the murders happening. The police couldn't find any actual evidence of the murders.
Oh wow.
So this one dude was like,
Just
I
like
killed
word of
5
mouth.
people. Like in the chat, he was like, I killed 5 people for him. In the chat, like you see him ask
So
for
he
murder.
so the guy in the chat that was telling the
The
dude
Dread
for
Pi-
Silk Road, he goes, "Hey, I just killed 5 people for this customer
Or no,
or
he's
for
like
a client."
for the Dread Pirate Roberts, for the person who
Oh,
found
okay.
it. He's like, I killed 5 people for this guy in the chat logs,
Oh,
and
jeez.
but
And
there
that's
was
not what
no
that
like
evidence
evidence
of
of it, so
happening.
the police couldn't charge him for it.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, so I found that to be funny.
Do you think it may have been somebody that was ticked off with the quality of whatever it was that he got? And he's
Um,
trying to say that he was asked to kill 5 people and
I think when I typed this up, I think I mixed worded things.
oh,
Yeah, I did. I mistyped things.
oh.
Oh no, oh goodness. Oh goodness. That's why it didn't make any sense.
The pages were mixed up.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Pages were mixed up.
It's okay. It happens. Willow, don't play with that. Hey. Hey. Willow. Hello. Say hi. Everybody. Okay, hi.
Okay. So here we go. I was wondering why things were not in the right order. Darn. And then I'll eventually find out where these go. Sorry, the printer was acting up and it was like stopping, so I would have to print out every 3 pages, and so it got confusing real quick for me.
Oh, okay.
So I will go back to these pages because these pages do have some vital information about like the chat logs and some of the stuff that he did. So the Silk Road offered 24,400 products related to drugs and an infrastructure to sell and buy.
Oh, okay.
So there was even a place where you could leave reviews on the buyers and the sellers. You
Okay.
could leave reviews for how your purchase of drugs and other illicit items were. This was provided infos on who were scammers and who were the best sellers. The infrastructure also included giving information to the sellers on how to package their goods so they wouldn't be detected when it was going through like customs or anything like this. Silk Road was also the first of its kind in the regards that it didn't take PayPal or other methods of payment. They only took Bitcoin. So you had to invest in Bitcoin to even purchase from this website. So over the 2.5 years that Silk Road was in action, it made about $183 million in sales and about $13 million in commissions.
Jeez.
So I will say that during this time, if there wasn't, because Bitcoin is like on a stock market scale, so it goes up and down.
Right.
If there was an increase in Bitcoin since there's been an increase in Bitcoin, um, some say the numbers would be approximately now 1.2 billion and $80 million. Those numbers would change into those. When the Dread Pirate Roberts created the Silk Road, he only wanted a small amount of sellers, so they would actually bid in an auction to get the ability to sell on the website. So they would have to bid for the spots to sell.
Wow.
But as time went on, sellers had to pay a fee and then they could sell. So I'm going to tell you that something that would actually blow your mind because it's actually a really good business idea. When you would buy something, it would go into an account until you verified you got the item, and when you confirmed it, it would then be released to the seller. So the seller would not immediately get the money. You would have to get the item for the seller to get the money.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a smart idea.
I like that idea.
But remember how I said it's like stocks, right? In the markets, and it's not a fixed kind of payment.
Yeah.
So if let's say you purchase something for $20 in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and then the Bitcoin went down to that same amount equals $10 now,
Yeah.
the Dread Pirate Roberts would cover that $10 difference and give the seller the $10
Oh wow.
extra to cover it. Um,
Well, I mean, how much they're making?
yeah.
Got the $10 to just throw around.
So now I'm going to get into how they caught the Dread Pirate Roberts because it was difficult with Tor. And if I recall correctly, one of my friends telling me that correctly, the Dread Pirates would also switch servers.
Oh, okay.
So he would hop from one server to another server to another server. So that it was really difficult to track which server he was going to be on. So they couldn't like guess.
That's why, like in movies, they portray people doing this thing. It's like, well, what server is they? I don't know. They're over here. No, they're over here. No,
Y-
wait, no, they're over here.
Yeah. So it was even more difficult to track. So let's get on to how he was caught.
Okay.
So it was created in January of 2011.
Mhm.
Early January of 2011.
Okay.
Well, a tax agent discovered a post discussing Silk Road on an online forum. Not an illegal online forum, just like a regular everyday online forum for people to talk.
Okay.
Um the post was made by a man named Altoid.
Is he a mint?
And he wrote, I came across this website called Silk Road. Wrote Altoid in a post which linked the site. I'm thinking of buying off it. Oh, I'm trying to find the page that I looked at the correct page. Let me know what you think. There it is. Let me know what you think. 2 days later, another post was made, and it stated a similar post on a forum called Bitcoin Talk, recommending Silk Road and providing a link. Has anyone seen Silk Road yet? It's kind of like an anonymous Amazon.com. I don't think they have heroin on there, but they are selling other stuff, it read. Now, in official documents, the tax agent was called Agent 1, and he actually reported it to his boss and all the people he needed to tell. Now, I will tell you this. Altoid was the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, that's his other name? How many names has he got?
He was using the term Altoid as an online thing to get people to buy from the Silk Road.
God.
He was trying to merchandise.
Could have used a different name besides
Yeah.
a mint.
Yeah. He wanted to drum up some interest in the Silk Road, so he posted in group chats with posts like this. So after the second post, they couldn't find any more by anybody named Altoid.
Oh,
So
okay.
after that second post, Altoid disappeared from the internet.
Oh, okay.
The FBI did research and realized what the Silk Road was, and they actually started working on trying to figure out who it was because it was on Tor. It was virtually impossible. They needed to see if they could get Altoid because they didn't know at this time that the Dread Pirates was Altoid. So they knew the Dread Pirate existed. They knew he was the creator of
They
Silk
just didn't
Road.
know he had more than one name.
Yeah, they didn't know he had more than one name.
Okay.
They thought they were separate people, and they thought Altoid could maybe get them in the door. After 8 months of silence, Altoid made a post on a forum on Bitcoin Talk where he said he was looking for an IT pro in the Bitcoin community to hire in connection with a venture-backed Bitcoin startup company. The posting asked interested parties to contact russelbright@gmail.com. Now, I
Oh,
have to tell
God.
you, that is the name of the Dread Pirate Roberts, aka Altoid.
Oh, Jesus.
His name is Ross William Ulbricht. He used his actual name to create a Gmail account to get information.
How long has he been a criminal?
Not very long.
Yeah, it tells you right there.
I
Just
couldn't
a bit
get
of
a
a
lot.
tidbit. You don't use your real name.
I couldn't get a lot on his childhood. They didn't do a lot of
Digging.
yeah.
Okay.
From what I understand, he had a happy childhood. He lived a pretty happy life. So again, his name was Ross Ulbright at gmail.com.
Okay.
So he basically they connected. They were like, "Oh, Altoid is this Ross William guy."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Altoid's
The
name.
name. Yeah.
So now they had a name, but they needed to verify it was him. So they needed to track him. And it is really difficult to track criminality on the web because like places the internet also needs warrants. Fun fact. So
Yeah.
to get onto like if you need to search people's internet or be in their IP address, you need a warrant to get into their IP address.
Okay.
So to track network records and all the fun techie things the police needed, they needed warrants. So in 2011, when they were still trying to build a case,
Uh-huh.
the issue became that the Dread Pirate Roberts was also using a VPN to create false IP addresses. So the police had to get a warrant to get access to where the VPN was being used, and they got it. It was binging off an internet cafe that was close to where Ross lived after he moved to live with a friend in September. So records showed he logged into his Gmail same day that the Dread Pirates accessed the VPN at the same time at the same cafe.
Okay.
They didn't think it could be Ross because he didn't have a background in computer science. While he did have the same ideologies as the Dread Pirate Roberts, they could not connect the two.
Okay.
So in 2011, they had this guy named Ross William, and they were like, okay, he's using the same internet cafe at the exact same time as the Dread Pirate Roberts, but it can't be him
I mean, everything is right there, guys. It's
because he
right
doesn't
there.
have a background in computer science.
One thing
He had the
alleviates
same
him.
ideologies, but he did not have any.
Oh my lord!
So
Most of your people that do illegal stuff don't have background in computer.
yeah. So now in July of 2013, Homeland Security, so 2 years later,
So for 2 years, you couldn't figure it out.
Homeland Security visited Ross because Homeland Security had found several fake IDs in a package that was intercepted on its way from Canada. All of them with photos of Ross. So Homeland Security caught a package
Okay.
that had a bunch of fake IDs with Ross's photos.
Okay. So he went online and bought fake IDs from somebody else.
So the DHS was not in the loop about the Silk Road. They actually had no clue it existed. So they just asked him a few questions and they left. The Department of Homeland Security didn't know they had just talked to the leader of the Silk Road, and those fake IDs were his first part of his escape plan.
Okay.
Now, on the digital part, the FBI Cyber Crime Squad was working because they really wanted to catch the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Found this fake IDs that I bought. Fake IDs I got.
And they were analyzing.
Get out of here with your fake IDs.
They were analyzing the defenses and everything of like the Silk Road. They were trying to get into the servers.
Okay.
And so basically, at this time, it was a 24-hour watch. There was people on a computer watching the servers consistently.
And then if you also think about it, because you said they have to get a warrant each time for them trying to get to the servers, they're pretty much first one. They felt that they wasted the time getting the warrant. Now they got to turn around and get some more warrants.
Yeah, and so basically at this point they're like just watching the servers, seeing if there's like a slim moment that they can get access to it, right?
Okay.
So it was 24-hour watch waiting for a mistake, and then one was made. When Ross made a coding error and left the server defenseless for just a couple of minutes.
Which does not take long.
The FBI was able to track the IP address to Iceland. Now let's give a round of applause for Iceland. Because they were willing to cooperate, and they sent the FBI this thumb drive with the cloned content of the server.
Oh, wow.
All the photos were encrypted, but the FBI hacked the password. Want to know what the password was?
I'm already laughing. Tell me.
Try to crack this, NSA.
What the? What? What? Can you not come up? That's why they tell us to make a harder password. Thanks a lot.
I want to just sit there, and as this FBI dude is like trying to crack the password, he's like, try to crack this. NSA? What? I just wanted to be in the room when they realized that was a password for the thumb drive.
That's hilarious, though. I mean, that's a pretty long password for somebody trying to crack it.
Yeah, and since they had it cracked, they were able to mirror the servers.
I'm guessing it wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, it was not.
Way off.
Since they cracked it, they were able to actually mirror the servers and deep dive all the info they found. They found employee names, accounting data, and chat records. Remember that he offered on someone. They found that in the chat, and it wasn't the first time.
Oh wow.
Hi, Mulan. So they still know that the Dread Pirate Roberts and Ross were the same person. They had not connected the dots. And then the DEA pulled a sting on the the Dread Pirate by accident. An employee of Silk Road had been caught dealing to a DEA agent in early 2013,
Wow.
and Ross offered to have him killed, but little did he know that he was contacting that same DEA agent.
Oh wow.
And so the police doctored photos to make it look like the killing was successful, and Ross paid $80,000.
Remind me to change the code for my luggage.
um so
That's funny.
so basically the DEA was like, "Cool, we're going to fake the hit." And
Okay.
so they faked the hit, and Ross paid $80,000 for
Wow.
that hit. Now the DEA realized it was more than just drugs and a killing ring. There was something bigger going on. They didn't know how big Silk Road. Now, mind you, the FBI is looking into the Silk Road. The Department of Homeland Security had visited Ross about fake IDs, and the Dread Pirate Roberts had just paid a DEA agent for a hit. And that is when all three of them got together and started talking.
Oh,
So all of them
what you doing? She scratched on the paper.
So all of them started talking, and they started to get a clearer picture of what was going on. The FBI mentioned Ross, and the IRS looked into it for them
Yeah.
and found he had traveled to Dominica,
Jesus Schwartz.
a
God.
known tax haven. So the
Oh.
IRS monitored him. They were like, "Hey, IRS, can you tell me a little bit about his information?"
So they've been monitoring him the whole time, or just started monitoring
The
him? Though?
FBI mentioned Ross, and the IRS looked into it for them.
Oh, okay.
And they had found that he traveled to Dominica, a known tax haven. They found the case of him trying to use fake IDs.
Okay.
And they also found that Ross and the Dread Pirate Roberts had clear digital footprints, mainly an early email account that Ross had matched to the Silk Road server, Frosty.
What? What is? Why? Can
So,
he not come up with good names? What is wrong?
so when they realized this, the FBI started tracking Ross.
Was his childhood that good that he had cheesy names? Frosty. How many times did you watch Frosty?
He
I mean, I
named his
admit
first
I would watch Frosty at Christmas, but really?
he named his first server Frosty, and he used an
No.
early email account that Ross had tied to his actual name.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Whatever,
Um
yogurt.
um and over so the FBI starts tracking him, and then over a course of a couple of weeks, they were able to see that when Ross opened his laptop,
Yeah.
the Dread Pirates would sign into the Silk Road, and when he closed his laptop, the Dread Pirates signed out. So they were now literally sitting in like computer bars, internet cafes, and watching as he opened the server. They would see the Dread Pirates would appear, and when he would close his
He would sign
laptop,
out.
the Dread Pirates would disappear.
Oh wow. I would so use
Some weird alias names.
Laugh out loud. I found
Um.
you.
So during this time, the Dread Pirates and his team kind of felt the heat.
Yeah.
Um.
Do you want the light on?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it keeps getting bright and then it gets dark. Then it gets bright and then it gets dark again. Then let there be light.
Now I just have to find what.
Sorry, Thomas and I are on movie quotes. No.
I am now trying to find that second half.
That's okay. Movie quotes are fun. Guarantee right now, some people can't handle the truth.
May the Schwartz be with you. May the Schwartz be with you. Yes, exactly. I hated that. That was.
My laugh is a little weird, creepy too. Are you still trying to find it?
I am trying to find it. Because I don't know where it went.
It's his fault for naming himself Dread Pirate Roberts. That is true. As you wish.
it? Okay, I have found it.
Okay, good.
And then this is like some of the chat messages. So so the Dread Pirates and his team kind
Should
of felt
number
the
the
heat.
pages next time.
You know what? That's a better idea. So during this time, the
Just in
Dread
case.
Pirates and his team kind of felt the heat, and they said the only way they would get caught was if they were going to get caught red-handed, like at the computer with the program running on their screen.
Oh, wow.
So they had to be logged in and have their fingers on the key. So now Ross had a kill switch on his computer, a single key that could erase all of the info on everything to arrest him and make sure that so when they arrested him, they had to make sure he didn't hit the kill switch. So they couldn't let SWAT just storm in because remember, they needed him to be on the side with his fingers on the key, but not able to hit the kill switch. They were divided between brute force or finesse. When they left the discussion, it was brute force versus finesse. And it was whoever got it done first won.
See, I'd be that person. I'd be that guy. I'd be like looking, just staring out the window of the cafe. Am I good? Am I? Nope.
So I'm going to tell you what happened, and I just want to let you know, because I just want you to take everything that I'm about to say in.
Okay.
So on an afternoon of October 2013, Ross, okay, so take this all in. He has to be on the computer, so it's brute force versus finesse. So on October 2013, Ross walked into the Glen Park Library, sat down at a table near the science fiction section. One of his new employees sent him a message asking him to log on and check a flagged post in the admin account. After Ross opened his laptop and started typing away, a man and a woman beside him broke out into an argument that quickly escalated to the point of physicality. When Ross turned to look, another woman sitting across from him gracefully swooped up his open laptop, then passed it to a man walking by mid-stride. It all went down in a matter of seconds.
Wow.
By the time Ross realized that everyone involved in this scene, the new employee, the arguing couple, the woman across from him, the man walking by, were all undercover agents, he was already in handcuffs.
Damn, that's fast. So they played it out like a movie.
Like I said, it was very, very much
What?
exactly Ocean's 11 status.
Wow. And those are good movies, by the way.
So finesse won out.
What the crap? Ocean's 11 status, right?
Straight up, the fact that I think they got somebody to message him, a new employee to message him about looking at the website. Then they had a couple start physically fighting. And then he's so distracted, he doesn't notice as the woman just swoops the computer and hands it to somebody.
Now you see me style.
Exactly.
Because that's pretty good. Good job, Fed. I mean, I'm going to call you Feds. Good job, because you got him distracted by paying attention to the fighting couple that are throwing blows at each other, and then not even realizing that the lady across from him just took his laptop and gave it to someone
Mid-stride, like she
Wow.
literally turned it, and as someone is walking mid-stride, she just leaving the computer opened. They never once closed the computer.
Wow. No, that way they have access because he's already signed on.
Exactly.
He's already in it, so why? Because if you close it, he signs out. And if you open it back up,
you might hit the kill switch.
You might hit the kill switch.
So on his laptop screen, agents found him logged into the Silk Road as the head administrator.
Yeah.
The FBI seized the Silk Road servers and served Ross a warrant for Ross, alias aka the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, wow.
Still at the scene, the FBI digital forensic experts backed up all the files on his laptop, and many of the most sensitive files were encrypted. They finally broke the encryption, and they had everything. So they had FBI forensics at the screen, at the location. Now, when Ross hit court, his defense team said that it was a fragile game, matching online identities to real people.
Yeah.
They brought up the meaning of the Dread Pirate Roberts because if you remember in the Princess Bride, the name is passed on from person to person.
Yeah.
And so they said that this was a name that was passed on in duties, and that had happened, and he was the fall guy. and they
Okay.
bet on the jury not being able to understand the coded world of darknet transactions.
Oh wow.
So his defense was basically like, the jury's going to be too stupid to understand this.
Oh wow.
So the digital forensics, straight up, I put it in words, karate chop that in half. Because the investigators found wallets with over $140,000 in Bitcoin,
Wow.
a detailed accounting spreadsheet of Silk Road finances, a list of all the Silk Road servers, and Ross's personal diary entries were detailing the construction and operation of the world's largest illicit website.
Wow. I mean, dude was smart, but stupid at the same time.
So now I'm just gonna read some of the what's it called?
Chat.
The chat messages.
Mm.
So James Ellingson, red and white, was charged with narcotics. Yes, he named himself Red and White. With
Oh,
narcotics
God.
trafficking and money laundering offenses in connection with the sale of large quantities of narcotics on the Silk Road. In connection with his drug trafficking on the Silk Road, he Red and White claimed to have arranged for the murder of 5 people for the Dread Pirate Roberts, for which he was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin.
Mm.
So the chain of events begins with an anxious message from the Dread Pirate Roberts from someone named the Friendly Chemist, claiming to be the supplier of a drug dealer called Lucy Drop, who accuses of scamming him in partnership with Roberts. And if Roberts doesn't help him recoup the money he owes, Friendly Chemist says he'll reveal identifying information on 24 Silk Road dealers and thousands of customers he obtained by installing malware on Lucy Drop's computer. So in that
Dang.
whole entire message chain, this dude is like, if
I
you
will
don't
take you down.
I will take you down if you don't pay me the money I am owed.
Wow. I mean,
Robert tells Friendly Chemist to put him in touch with his creditors and he'll help resolve the issue. Soon, Red and White,
mhm.
who claimed to be a member of the Hells Angels, contacts Roberts, telling them he is the one whom Friendly Chemist owes money. Robert, always thinking of ways to expand Silk Road, already a massive drug trade, first tried to persuade the Hells Angels to sell their bulk narcotics on his website. But he also hints that he wouldn't mind if the Angels killed the Friendly Chemist and Lucy Drops.
Oh wow. And everybody knows who the Hell's Angels are because they're a well-known biker gang.
Mm-hmm. Let me make sure I have all of that. Which would solve the blackmail problem. And then Robert gives the Friendly Chemist personal information, which has been shared with him by one of the blackmailer's drug dealer associates. So he gives the personal information to the Hell's Angels to kill him.
Wow. That's, I mean,
There we go.
it's either you or the other person.
So yeah. So they had also caught him red-handed at the computer. So they caught Ross red-handed. He's at the computer.
Right.
There's not much they can do. So the defense is like, people are too stupid to understand this trial. Because I will say, this trial is a lie.
Mm.
This trial is a lie. But they find all the money, the spreadsheets, the personal diary entries, caught him red-handed at the computer. His trial, Ross's trial, only lasted 13 days.
Wow.
And the jury only deliberated for 4 hours.
Oh, geez. That's pretty fast. That's fast.
That's fast. And he was found guilty of money laundering, computer hacking, and conspiracy to traffic narcotics. Those are his charges.
Well, he can't do the murder because
They don't have enough
they don't
evidence.
have enough evidence.
He was also ordered to pay about $183 million in restitution, based on the total sales of illicit drugs and counterfeit IDs through Silk Road.
But couldn't they go after him if he was in the chat with the Hell's Angels, saying that he wouldn't mind if they killed those two people?
They had enough on him. It's kind of like, you know how, like, remember with the Bayou Strangler, how they knew they had him for 8, and they were like, it would be too excessive to do 23. They knew they had him because, like, some of these, their minimum sentences are at least federal sentences, from what I recall, are at least like 50 years in prison. So that's the least you can charge them.
Okay.
So, like
trying to charge Timothy McVeigh with 168 murders.
But
they only did the 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So he has to pay. So on top of going to jail,
Yeah.
he has to pay $183 million in restitution. So
Have
that's
fun paying that.
so he was actually sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. And technically, it was 2 life sentences in 4 months. I don't know why they tacked on the 4 months. I don't know,
It's kind of stupid. Okay.
but they did 2 life sentences
in
with
4 months.
no possibility of parole.
And
So
usually,
he can never get parole.
And usually, if they do life sentences on people, it's because they murdered somebody.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Capone getting in trouble for tax evasion because the rest of the charges were shaky.
Life sentences.
So it's
actually
like 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go. That's 8. Wow.
Yeah. So now it doesn't end there. The FBI and all of them went after the employees, and in a twist, like I said, there's some movie-worthy twists in here. The DEA agent that
Mhm.
negotiated the fake death
Yeah.
was actually involved in criminal dealings in the Silk Road along with another DEA agent. So
there
they were
was 2.
corrupt
So there were 2 DEA agents
that were involved in
that
the
were involved in it.
in the
Okay.
Silk Road that were actually
Because I
on the
remember
Silk Road.
you said one, but I didn't know about the other one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, Ross was incarcerated at the Metropolitan Correction Center in New York, starting in July of 2017.
Okay.
He was held at he was held up at USP Florence. His mother Lynn moved to Colorado there, so she could visit him regularly. And then Ross was later transferred to USP Tucson.
Oh, welcome
So,
to Tucson.
so the Tucson jail. So he appealed regularly on
Mhm.
his trial. His first appeal stated that the prosecution withheld evidence of DEA malfeasance based on the 2 agents charged with crimes,
Okay.
and he said his sentence was too harsh. The hearing was heard in October of 2017, and in May 2017, the Court of Appeals came back with a response: "No, your sentence is everything. Your sentence is fine, and everything is going to be upheld."
So he got denied.
In December of 2017, he filed an appeal with the Supreme Court asking to hear his appeal, saying his Fourth Amendments of unreasonable search and seizure and Sixth Amendment, which is 8 different rights, including the right to speedy and public trial by an impartial jury consisting of jurors from the state and district in which the crime was alleged to have committed.
Mhm.
Under impartial jury requirement, jurors must be unbiased. The right to a jury, um, and the jury must consist of a representative cross section of the community. The right to a jury applies only to offenses in which the penalty for imprisonment is longer than 6 months.
ESP Tucson is on Wilson.
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically he was not the first. 21 appeals had been filed on the Supreme Court on his behalf.
Wilmot.
So
She meant Wilmot.
21 appeals for his case to the Supreme Court had been filed on his behalf
And what part
to
of
get it overturned, and they said no.
Now, what part of no do you not understand after the first 10 times?
Now, in 2020, an article actually came out saying he had rejected a plea deal, which would have given him a decade-long sentence. According to more than a dozen investigators and attorneys involved in the case, Ross's sentence could have been a lot less severe. Although the U.S. Attorney Timothy Howard, who was co-responsible for prosecuting the case, testified that no such plea offer was ever extended to Ross or conveyed to his then counsel.
So he lied.
So the article may have lied, or he lied. Like he may have not wanted to seem like he was going lenient on him.
Yeah.
But there was an article saying multiple people came forward and said that there was a plea deal, which could have only given him a decade of jail time.
I mean, you're already in there, so.
Howard stated the plea deal with a mandatory minimum of 10 years was discussed at the final pretrial conference on December 2014, but that the maximum sentence of life imprisonment was strongly recommended based on the sentencing guidelines.
Oh, wow.
So now I will say there has been calls for him to be freed from prison, again, mostly from his mom, but also libertarians, even getting a petition with 600,000 signatures. They said that he was a Bitcoin pioneer and that his sentence needed to be commuted. Now, during this time in 2021, Ross's prosecutors and defense agreed that Ross would relinquish any ownership to newly discovered fund of 50,676 Bitcoin, worth nearly 5.35 billion in 2025.
Jeez.
Seized from a hacker in November 2021. The Bitcoin had been stolen from Silk Road in 2013, and Ross had been unsuccessful in getting them back. The U.S. government traced and seized the stolen Bitcoin. Ross and the government agreed that the fund would be used to pay off his $183 million debt in his criminal case, while the Department of Justice would take custody of the Bitcoin.
Wow.
Now, on January 21st in 2025, President Donald Trump granted him a full and unconditional pardon following a promise at the 2024 Libertarian National Convention. Trump said of the pardon in a Truth Social post, "I just called the mother of Ross William Albright to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed and fully and unconditional pardon of her son Ross. The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who are involved in the modern day weaponization of government against me. He was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Oh, that was my mistake. It wasn't 4 months, it was 40 years. 2 life sentences plus 40 years.
Jeez.
Ridiculous."
Yeah.
Ross was released from federal prison in Arizona in Tucson that evening. Photos circulated on social media showing him reunited with his wife and family. Now, I will say that Silk Road has disappeared, but there are others, most notably Silk Road 2.0, which was not created by him, but created by somebody else,
Right.
which is no longer running. They caught that founder and they arrested
Shut it
him and
down.
charged him. But there are always things trying to replace and fill its void.
Mhm.
Like I said earlier, I have heard some talk that potentially one server came back up, but I'm not able to verify that. So that's a little bit on the Silk Road and the dark web.
So in other words, don't go on it.
Yeah, don't go on it. Be very careful what your kids are on.
Yeah, definitely. Because they hit one wrong button, you're gonna have somebody
You
come into
download
your
one
door.
thing. Well, granted, the government would have to do a whole lot of research.
Yeah.
But still, don't let your kids go on the dark web. It's not a smart idea. It's not a good place for kids.
That's why parents monitor what their kids go onto with their phones and the computer,
Smart idea. Yes, very smart.
and what they do at school.
And I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to that because it wasn't even, I think I may have, like, when I was reformatting it, I think I copied and pasted and moved things around in my page so it didn't look right. So, and I
You're good.
did not reread it after I wrote it because I was so tired.
Okay.
So,
Well, we kind of did this on the fly because of we
yeah,
have plans this evening, so we
we
went.
had to
We had to
zoom on
go.
in.
Yeah, we had to zoom in and be early, but I already had everything on here typed up for us to go live. So right when I got here, just plug everything in and go boop, hit a button and go
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, but yeah, no, the Silk Road is like one of those super interesting things. Straight out of a movie,
Yeah,
the way they caught him,
yeah.
the
Well,
way
I
they
mean, that's
found
pretty slick.
DEA agents were corrupt officials using the website.
I mean, it's pretty slick. Just can't get over the fact of how they caught him. You
I
know,
know it is an
arguing couple. I'm going to pay attention to that, not knowing my computer is now being
taken away.
and then given to somebody walking by, and then poof, you're like, where did these come from? I don't remember putting on these bracelets.
Exactly. The way it happened so fast.
That's funny.
The way that Finesse won, because they essentially the brute force wanted to storm in with guns into wherever he was.
Yeah, and then you make him panic, and then he's going to
hit
hit
the
the
kill
switch.
switch, and then all of it's gone. And that's what Team Finesse was trying to say is, no, if you do that,
He's going to hit that
but
kill
the
switch.
brute force was like, but what if the Finesse goes wrong? What if he sees through it? He'll hit the kill switch.
Apparently, it did not go wrong.
So it was
Watch more Ocean's 11.
yeah.
You learn
Take
stuff.
cues from that because that was insane.
Yes.
But from what I understand, Ross is now out of jail. He is doing conventions, and he is giving talks to people
about how to do the dark web or not to do the dark web.
I think it's about how he was wrongfully persecuted.
I mean, dude, come on. You're selling illegal stuff on the dark web, so that's a no-no. I mean, come on.
I will say, the fact that they had profiled him as a dude with a history in computer science, and then when they saw he did not fit the profile 100%. Never just believe the profile 100%. Always include abnormalcies.
What does that say? Go with your gut.
Yeah, go with your gut. You
If you
had him
know-
literally the first, like you had him in September of 2011.
Yeah, and you sit there and you're like, no,
The D.
he's just a regular Joe Schmo.
He's just a.
It's not him.
He's just Altoid.
that name. You know, now when I see an Altoid box, that's what I'm gonna freaking think of at work.
I can't think of the Dread Pirate Roberts the same. Because all I can think of now is the leader of the the Silk Road. I'm like, why'd you have
gave
to choose a bad
Wesley
name?
a bad name.
Yeah, why'd you have to give Wesley a bad name?
Wesley's a good guy. Come on, dude. Pick a different
It's
name next time.
annoying.
Maybe in your next life, pick a different name. Not that one.
Yeah, not the Dread Pirates.
That's not-
That's sad.
That you're giving Dread Pirates a bad name.
It's uncalled for.
Not needed.
Unnecessary.
Just
But-
ridiculous.
But yeah, we
Even Criminal Minds says it's a guideline.
yeah, exactly. It's a guideline, and they were like, no, he's going on the computer at the exact same time as him, but he doesn't have a computer background,
Yeah, no.
bruh.
Just because somebody does not have a computer background does not mean crap.
Justin doesn't have a computer background, but do I think he could potentially figure out a way to do something?
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
ain't stupid.
Yeah, he could.
He ain't dumb. He knows what he's doing. Would he do it?
No.
No.
But
We could both vouch on that right now.
Inigo
No.
didn't pick a replacement well. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No. It was sad.
I mean,
And
I
I
don't
just
know.
the fact that he was released and he's now doing conventions is insane to me.
It's almost like a killer convention.
But yeah, so fun fact, he's out and about, living his life.
Is he here in Tucson?
I don't know where. They're like it's like he keeps his after he was released, he kind of like kept it quiet for a little bit. The only reason I know he does conventions is because I saw it on a LinkedIn account when I was looking him up.
Oh wow. That's I don't know.
And the thing is, it's so weird because I couldn't do a lot on like his background because he wasn't in jail for a long time because he wasn't like so far back
Yeah.
that they did like, oh, let's interview people. It was very
See what
much
type
like
of person he was.
yeah, because he was only sent to jail in like 2016.
He was a happy kid, remember Frosty?
Yeah. He was in jail and he went to jail in 2016, but he kept fighting appeal after appeal after appeal
21
until
appeals though.
2025.
It
It
once-
wasn't even his judges, his lawyers who did it. It was other people who put in for the appeals. It was other libertarians who were like, "Nah, this is too
Then
much."
obviously they weren't wording it right.
Well, it's not even the Supreme Court has like every right to be like, "That's stupid." No.
No, you're right. They do. That's dumb.
I
We
think
ain't
that
doing it.
I think from what I understand, they get like thousands and thousands of cases. They only convene twice a year. And the twice a year they convene is they kind of give they all live together. Like they don't live together, but they live in a close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
They get together, they choose the cases they're going to do. They separate for a couple of months, read the case, go in front of the lawyers, get their questions from like lined up, ask their questions. If they get more questions, they ask more questions. And then they go away for a couple of months again
Mm.
after they hear everything.
Yeah.
And then they come up with their like, yes, I agree to this. No, I don't agree to this. So out of the thousands and thousands of cases they get, they only do like 200 per year
Oh wow.
because they have to do so much research into the case. They have to look at prior law.
But they also go off of the severity of it, right? Or
Um,
what they choose to do. Some of them.
some of like for example, anything that has to do with the federal government, they kind of have to listen to. If like let's say like we're seeing a lot of federal like lawsuits being brought up to the federal courts, and the federal courts are like,
We
I
know
don't know.
why.
The federal courts are like, I don't agree with this. I'm going to deny this thing. Party A goes, I don't like that ruling. I'm taking it to the Supreme Court. I'm taking it to another federal judge. That federal judge goes, oh, I agree with it. You have two differing opinions, agreeing and disagreeing. They then go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to hear it. So
And
when it
then
comes,
they're the final say. Like,
yeah.
no.
So also, if states start getting into like altercation, so let's say Arizona. Arizona has a bad history. I will say.
Let's
Do you
do
know we had a
Oklahoma and
navy at
Texas.
one point?
We had a navy.
We had a navy. It was like one boat on Lake Havasu. And California made fun of us for our navy. But this was back when we were fighting for water rights. It was a whole thing. We were fighting over the Colorado River, right?
Yeah.
We were getting into altercations with other states. And the Supreme Court had to step in and go, get it together. Sign this treaty. It looks like a good treaty. The first person who signs the treaty gets the most amount of water. The second person who signs the treaty gets the second most. The last person gets the least amount. Arizona was one of the last to sign because we were stubborn.
Oh God! Thanks a lot. Asshats.
California was the first to sign. So.
Of course they are, but I mean they don't have a whole ocean over there. You water hogs. Love your state, by the way, but water hogs.
And then I think.
But then who's running out of water first?
California.
They are.
Yeah, I know. It's
what you get for using it all.
Well, it's because I think Phoenix. So fun fact about Tucson, we have a bunch of water that we keep preserving because
don't tell nobody.
Oh no. Do you know other cities and other states buy from us? So basically Arizona gets a certain quantity of water from the Colorado River,
Okay.
right? And a certain section is like split up to the different major cities.
Right.
Well, Tucson, so like let's say when they do a call on the river,
Yeah.
and a call on the Colorado River means no one can get water from the river after this certain point.
Okay.
Tucson has sold the last of the water that's supposed to go out to other states and other cities.
Okay.
Sold the rights, so we got money from it because we have so much water saved up because we have been like, let's put in like natural, like state, local gardens. Let's not like use excessive amounts.
Yeah, because like in California, when you go visit there, you'll and it's on the news too, because we noticed that when we first went.
Yeah. Do you know if
you only can do it on certain, like I think it has to be certain days in certain areas.
Mhm.
In California, we know is it's a giant state, so like each town, but in that town, let's say Anaheim, for instance, in Anaheim, the north area or the south area, they only have certain times that they are allowed to water anything and to use water outside, and you can only do it either after a certain time or for so long.
California has bought some of the like last of the water we have because we have so much water
Yeah.
that because we realized that our water basins, like the water in the ground, was drained. We were using it so fast, we found a way. Do you remember when they put us on like a drought warning and
Yeah.
they were like, heads up, don't water? That's when they started building up the water underneath.
Okay.
That if they wanted to, we could last without the Colorado river water for about a year and a half without seeing any changes into how we work.
Oh wow.
Whereas Phoenix would notice it immediately and they would go on an immediately drought warning.
Well, yeah.
California would notice it immediately. Nevada got smart. Do you want to know a fun fact about the Bel Air fountains?
What?
That used to be fresh water that they would pump every night. It was new water every night.
Like they did it through a filter?
No.
Or just that's what they
like
used?
they attach the Bel Air fountain
Oh, jeez.
to the groundwater.
Yeah.
Use the water from the groundwater, which would then drain the basin.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't reuse it. It wasn't until later on they were like, that's a really bad idea. We're going through water really, really fast. Let's like reuse water.
Duh. Numb nuts.
It was insane when I found that out. I was like, are you kidding me?
What is wrong with people? Oh my god. Hey, let's just not reuse the water. Let's just use it all.
Granted, this was like in like I think the 1800s. So I don't think they were thinking that far ahead.
Apparently not.
They were like, oh, an oasis in the desert. And then they were like, as time went on, they were like, oh my god, we're running out of water in the desert. We need to find some way to save the water.
We're gonna die.
Exactly.
This is how we're gonna talk because we ain't got nothing to drink.
So they were like, oh no, we need to be safe and actually like think about how we use our water.
Dumb thumbs.
Oh.
God.
History is really
are-
fun.
We are really screwing ourselves because
Yeah.
of the fact that we ain't using maybe some brain cells that we might have in our head. And then, oh my God, do you know? So, since we're kind of on an environment kick here too, so the company that we work for, Walmart, when I was a team lead, I learned about this, and it's the coolest thing ever because I did not know this. But do you know those huge cleanup boats that they have? Did you know about those?
Yes, I
Walmart
think it's
helps with those, right? I don't know how many they have, but they say by 20, I'm going to just throw an estimate year, okay? Between, and it's going to be a big giant gap. 2030 to 2050, maybe 15, 20 of them they'll have by then.
probably.
And then that way it'll help clean up the ocean.
Yeah, and I also
Because they
like
have them out there right now, but they said that every time they go to a specific spot, not specific spot in the ocean, they're cleaning it up, and it's the size of Rhode Island. And once they get it cleaned up, here comes more. And most of it, a lot of it, not most of it, a lot of it is garbage from China, the tsunamis, Japan, pretty much the tsunamis that hit
the
over on that
hurricanes.
and the hurricanes. So everything is coming to where they are, but they're saying by a certain time frame that it's going to be where they're going to have a number of the boats. Well, I'm glad that they're doing that. That makes me happy because they're
I also,
helping, that they're conserving, trying to help.
I also like how they like have the in-home vehicles. They have them as electric vehicles, but then they have like the extras that are like, um, we made a mistake and we didn't order enough vehicles, so we're gonna give you a gas.
We have a gas and electric at our store.
Because they didn't think it through. You're supposed to get an electric one.
Supposed to have 2 electric ones, but and
They
then
didn't
ours,
order enough electric vehicles.
and then ours are always in the shop,
Always.
and or it's tires. I hit curbs, and it was always the back driver's side tire or the back passenger
I'm
side
sure I
tire.
would hit curbs too.
I was the only one that did it. Nobody else, no, nobody else in our little driving group hit curbs but me. And every time we got a new tire, I would go, "Ba-dum." Oh, initiated the new tire. And I would tell them, it's like, and no joke, a day later, they're like, the back tire it's either the Ford or no, it was the Ford because we only had the one at the time. It seems kind of flat. I'm like, yeah, it's probably because I hit a curb. They're like,
If I
God
had a
dang it.
license, I feel like I would crash. Not crash, but go over the curb.
Okay, I will admit, in some housing communities, though, you can't help but not hit the curb because of the way it's done.
It's so small. Some of those like assisted living facilities is so small. Like
Well,
the roads are too
assisted
narrow.
living facilities are okay. They're not too bad.
Like
Like,
apartment complexes.
apartment depends on how you do it. Like, if you have one that's open where you can go around, you're fine. But if you if you have one that's okay, there's one on Oracle here in town, down the road from Hobby Lobby. If you're going, I think it's that way. And yeah, because it's by the Chase Bank. And so if you're going that way and you go into that one, you gotta wait for the gate to open. Then you go over the speed bumps and you come around and you make yourself a right. There's no way to back up at all. You literally have to just park where you are, and if people come out because you're parked behind their car, they're gonna get pissed. Who cares? You can wait a few minutes. I'm delivering groceries, and no joke, one of our drivers hit the awning, and then I rode with somebody, one of the other drivers, and they're like, "Well, how do you get out of here?" So I showed them. So I would literally pull up to the end, and then I would back all the way out.
You see, this is why I would like Chinese vehicles. Because
They're
have you
small and
seen?
compact.
Not even that. Have you seen the ones where it literally does a 180 turn or a
Oh,
360
that would be
spin
nice.
and just like it stays in the same place,
Oh,
but
I
the
think yes.
yeah, it just rotates on its own. That'd be so nice.
Doesn't help that customers hit the van and then run. That is true.
That is very true.
We had somebody do that not too long ago. Tom, I know what Thomas is talking about too. I think this person just backed up and took off. I don't think they really caused a dent, probably to their car because it has that step
Yeah.
thing, which is all bent up. Because another driver went over the speed bump a little too fast, and it bent up a little bit more.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Mine was tires. Everybody else's speed bumps.
Everyone goes over speed bumps too fast.
I've done that though, where I've accidentally sat there and I don't see it because the speed bumps don't have the bright white on it. And so,
Damn, okay. I was just trying to give you some love.
what was it? I was going through a neighborhood and then I didn't see a speed bump and I like, well, there goes that. And you just hear everything in the back go, boom. Like it came up as like, my bad, sorry.
Oh, it's the good old days of the van.
Or you got one customer, you have to go up, make a U-turn because you can't turn.
Oh,
You make a hard left, you might as well just back up and go all the way up anyway. So you go all the way up the hill, flip a bitch, come back up, and then go up in her driveway. And she's like, oh, you can back down the driveway. It's like, no, I got it. And I'll back up and then I'll go down. Or you got another customer that we go to that her driveway is kind of steep on one side, but not the other. And I've always hit that step. I hear it scrape and I'm like, oh nope. I finally figured out how to drive it up that driveway without scraping it. You go in at an angle.
that's smart.
You go in at an angle and then you can get up into her driveway.
Hmm.
So yeah, our poor vans have been through hell and back. And now it's just like the tire pressure. Now it's tires. I'm like, it's not me. I'm not driving.
I think it's just because you're
weather.
You're the weather, but also you're delivering more.
Mhm.
I don't know, but it's been a wild, wonky week.
Yes, it has.
You know
Especially
what?
weekend. What's
Oh,
next
yeah.
week's?
Next week's is the red pill content.
All right, and we're
We
having
get
John join us on that
we're
one.
having John join us for that one.
Okay.
Make sure there are no children around.
Or if you're going to listen to this, headphones, earbuds,
And
something.
it's not because it's necessarily like graphic, but it's more or less, I don't think you want your kids to hear what these guys have to say about people. I mean, I think you heard this one, and I'm going to say it in the podcast, is somebody was like, "Oh yeah, fat people deserve to be in concentration camps."
Wow. Yeah, and
Um,
skinny people should be in fat camps.
Last line say.
Are you talking about the Agave Apartments on
Mike's
Oracle? and
Houchie
Orange
is
Grove?
hairy.
I think so. I am not repeating it.
I don't know.
Say it again out loud.
No.
Screwed. No, we ain't doing it.
No,
No.
I don't trust you.
Did you guys hear? You said my coochie is hairy. Yeah.
Ow.
My coochie
Oh my god.
hairy.
Ow.
But yeah, the red pill content is
Stop.
going to be a really interesting one. It's going to be, I do the news article where you get to see it. John is going to be joining us for that one.
Don't take the red pill, take the blue one.
We're going to discuss where the term the red pill content came from. We're also going to discuss some of the terms that they use in the red pill community. And I will say, as I was reading, because I found a Reddit post from one of these people who gets all their media from the red pill content.
No, I'm not talking about that one, Angela.
Yeah,
It's
Angela.
literally. So there. Where's Hobby Lobby?
I don't remember.
Hobby Lobby is on Orange Grove.
Orange Grove and Oracle.
Okay, but there's like a Chase. No, is there a Chase Bank in the parking lot?
No.
Okay, I'm not. So then I'm talking about the Chase Bank that's further down.
Yes. About a light down. It's in Putney.
So you're going
Putney's
you're
parking
going
lot.
south.
Yep.
On Oracle. Because there is. Yeah, you're going south on Oracle, and there is it's by the Dairy Queen and the gas station right there. So there's like a Chase Bank across the street, but right next to that, behind it, is the apartment complex I'm talking about. Yeah, it's Oracle. I don't know if it's Oracle and Orange
You
Grove
can
though.
see this right here.
What are you doing?
Okay. More this way.
Whatever. I have to look it up, but I don't know.
Okay.
You might
so,
be correct, Angela. I don't know, but I don't think it's by the Chase over there, and there's like a gas station that has.
Why are we talking about this?
Because we're trying to figure it out. Because we got to talking about we got
the driving in vans and all
driving
that other
in
stuff.
vans. Yes.
But the red
I
pill
wouldn't know
content.
because I haven't been picked yet. Thank you.
But the red pill content, I think, is how Thomas said half of America is screwed. I kind of feel that with just how when reading this, some of it is the most disturbing things I've ever read. Like they use the term beta male, alpha male, and omega male to refer to guys, or a high value male, or
way too low male.
Oh my God.
then they refer to anyone who is not their version of the best woman, a low value female.
She was nosy.
There's no low value. Don't worry.
You would be surprised what these men think are low value.
Men can think about it all they want, but that doesn't mean
Well, you would be surprised about what happens in the dating community. I'll also be talking about statistics. I found statistics about the violence of women against women. So it's going to be a really fun podcast.
So violence
So
against
guess what?
women
I
against
found out
women.
a true
Violence
fact.
against women.
You know that women cheat more than men. True. Look it up. That women tend to almost 50% more cheat than a man does. Because when a man has met the woman he wants to be with, they tend to stick with that woman for the rest of their life. Whereas if a woman, I don't know why I'm coming up with this.
I'm about to fact check you.
No, you don't, Angela.
Fact check. Fact check. Don't you fact check me. I'm not fact.
She said fact.
She's fact checking me, folks.
Okay, you can go now.
Oh, how rude.
Yep.
See, they're trying to get rid of me.
Yes, they are, because you're not supposed to be here till next week.
Both genders cheat at similar rates.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap.
Some studies indicate that men are maybe slightly more likely to engage in physical infidelity, while women may be more inclined to engage in emotional cheating.
Oh. So this would be physical.
Hi, baby. What's your name? Get off me.
And then emotional would be like, it's okay, Michelle.
Though
It's
there
okay to cry.
are some studies that say women may be more likely to cheat overall,
Aha!
with the difference being smaller than the popular stereotype.
That's what she said.
According to the General Social Survey, men are more likely to cheat than women, with 20% of men and 13% of women reporting having sex with someone other than their partner while still married.
Ooh.
Then you are scum. If you
Damn denied.
if you have to cheat to satisfy yourself, then you are scum. When you can simply just go up to the person that you're with and say, I wish to separate for a while and see other people. Oh, it's hard.
I know. I was
There's
listening
always
to.
two sides to every story.
I was listening to
if
a
you are
podcast.
cheating, that is scum. If you are going behind someone's back and you are in a relationship with them and seeing another person, knowing that you're in a
So
relationship,
why are they? But why are they going?
Scum.
Why are they doing it? Two
Shouldn't
sides to
be
every
doing
story.
it.
Two sides to every story.
Shouldn't be doing it.
Why are they doing it?
Why
I
are
mean,
you doing it?
Get out of here.
You get out of here.
You know what an interesting term is to counter out that argument. I remember hearing somebody, and I was watching a podcast, and it was a low, what they would classify as a low value woman debating with a high value male, right?
Michelle stole my phone. She's looking at all my contacts. Oh my god.
And in the argument, she was talking about single married women, and I was like, okay, single married women. I've never heard that term. Single married women who do everything. They take care of the kids, they work a job, they take care of the house while the spouse does nothing.
That anyways? Men are lazy, fat, kind of just there for the fun. I mean,
And that's what she was talking about. And the
Ah.
guy was like, "Oh, that's not true." And she's like, "Why? Why
Why what?
why would I be in a relationship with that?"
A lot. I don't know.
So Angela, it is Rudisill Road.
Rude style.
Or be polyamorous. That's a good point.
It's the Casas
You could be
Adobe
polyamorous.
Adobe's apartment.
Polyamorous if you date multiple people. And if you know about each other, then everyone knows it. Like you don't just
Then okay.
Wait,
Then
hold
that's
on.
different.
yeah, that's a
But
completely
I'm
different
Or
thing.
it's by
If
Putney's.
you're in a relationship,
Pit Stop Sports
and you
Bar.
go behind the
The
person,
apartment's behind that.
like for instance, I'll use Michelle now. Oh, I went behind her back, didn't tell her anything about it, and saw another one. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing to do. And if anyone can do that, you need to look at yourself seriously in the mirror because you got an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I always have believed that if you're in a relationship and you think that is something you might do, then you need to get out of that relationship. You need to talk to the person you love and say, "Hey, I'm having issues, whatever it may be."
Yeah.
So, Michelle, I read your diary, and she loves me.
Yeah, nothing changed in your day to day when you left. Yeah, that's yeah. It's an interesting idea, the idea of a single married woman.
I mean,
What about single married man?
okay, would you?
Okay, or a single married man, but typically it is women.
So technically, when
Typically it's men.
I'm about to push you off the couch, cut me off one more time. So, what was I gonna say? Oh well, when I was married to my ex-husband, I felt like I was a single parent because I was doing everything. He would,
And he was a turd.
if he wanted to go hang out with friends,
But
go to
and
a
a
bar.
lot of, and I hate to say it, and a lot of these men who are in these like into these like alpha red pill content,
Yeah.
when they're talking about that, they believe that's fully the woman, that's what the woman is meant to do, and the man can do whatever he wants.
Okay. If you want a good woman in your life and you want to be happy, you treat them better than they treat you. Telling all the men out there, good woman in your life,
So she could
like
smack the
her
crap out of
or
you, and you'd
her,
be all right.
or just a woman who undyingly treats you great. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, and
Just don't be stupid.
and that's why I want John on the podcast, because I think it's to get that like old school like
Mhm.
values on how to treat
Here, John, go second, John, and second,
Just keep talking.
on how to treat women
All women
compared to
should
this like
bow.
new school
Yeah.
women need to bring, my favorite thing is women need to bring something to the table, because they don't offer anything.
Okay, we did.
Well,
Okay,
man
yep,
brings
yep.
lots of stuff to the table.
We're
Hey,
gonna have
John.
issues. Well, I was about to say some stuff, but I'm gonna wait until we do this next Monday.
And I will say most of this is going to be quotes on their views. I'm not going to dissect their views.
Okay.
I will not dissect their views. I
Okay.
refuse to dissect their views. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on them. Go through some of their most popular quotes.
That was like a drive.
That's how you silence a woman.
That was such a drive by. Jet propelled. Oh my god.
The new school is trying to make the 1950s back, when women were expected to be seen and not heard.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. They're trying to make it that women cannot be.
You know, I'm gonna go back and see if that was heard now.
Yeah, I know. So yeah. So if you come back for the podcast next week, we're gonna see Michelle get really, really angry and want to hit people. We're also gonna see John get really, really upset by some of these quotes.
Angie, I gotta get you a whip or something to shut him up, laugh out loud.
So we're gonna see that.
Angela, behave.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting one. I think you're gonna get really, really angry.
Probably.
I'm gonna need to buy a stress ball specifically so she can squeeze this.
Ball.
so you can squeeze the stress.
Why would I need a stress ball? I got his.
Oh, hey, whoa, hey.
We'll just squeeze them.
We're all friends here.
Sure about that? I mean,
Um,
after next week's podcast, who knows?
And then we're gonna do the Q&A after that.
Yes, that's
Next
right.
week is Q&A.
Because today was
So
episode
provide your
9.
questions.
So yeah. Yeah, and that'll be questions that you guys can come back and ask about the podcast that we've done, or questions that you may ask of Abigail and I, like about us.
Yeah.
Man. And no asking questions of, what do you think about what Trump's doing? I'm going to keep my 2 cents to myself on that one.
We're not gonna talk about the but yeah, so we're gonna have an interesting upcoming
Podcast.
next week is gonna be really interesting. The day after is gonna be interesting, and then we're gonna do vets.
Yes, we're going to honor
I got to
vets.
do a bit more research because I was originally just gonna go onto the United States website, the government website, and look up cool people who were vets. A lot
I
of
mean,
the
I
cool
have
people
family
are
that was
gone.
in the military. Can shout out their name. They're not here no more. But I had family.
I can't
Oh,
look
yeah.
up the cool ones anymore. They took them away.
True.
Now I got to do a shit ton of research on my own.
That's true. But, oh my lord. So
Ugh.
come back next week. Come back next Monday.
And you will also see the dog on my lap because I will be using the emotional support dog.
Yeah. Mine's Willow.
The cat will be in her lap.
She's always in my lap. But thank you to everybody that has come on and viewed this and hung out with us for a little bit. See you all next week for the Red Pill content, and for me to get angry, obviously, because I already want to say one thing of what she just said, but I'm gonna shut up till time comes. So, Angie says she can find the website for you.
Oh no, it was on the internet. They removed them from the website.
Oh, okay.
So I would have to do manual research. They
Okay.
removed all of like the first female pilot, like all the
Oh, wow.
historical people like that from the
Okay.
website. So
All right.
it's gonna be a hoot and holler.
All right. So yeah, we got that planning and got
Yeah.
that going. We're already booked up to November of what we're going to be doing.
Some of it may
Something
change.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Some things might change.
we'll see.
And then when we're gonna have a particularly nasty one, and I know we'll have a particularly nasty one, and I think it's in September.
Yeah, September, October, because we're going to start spooky season in September.
Yeah, I think it's a particularly nasty one. That's actually going to be 2 episodes.
Okay.
And when I say it's nasty, I mean it's nasty.
Grotesque.
I thought they did. I know they removed a whole bunch of stuff from the United States government website.
Oh, there's an alternative.
That's
Okay.
smart.
All right.
Smart.
So you have to send that to her. You can either
Yeah.
do it in the comments or message. Should be able to message in
the
podcast. Do it in this podcast because
nice.
that
People
way we can
always
get it.
downloading the right
Again,
things.
please go over to A&M Podcast so we can start doing our podcast over there instead of J&M so we can get more traction and get going a little bit further with that. But we need 50. We have 13.
Yes.
We need 50 to be able to go live.
So please follow us there.
Yes, follow it. Go over there. If you're subscribed to this one, please go to that and subscribe on there so we can get going with that. We're going to jump off of here because I got to get going. And we will see you guys next Monday. So,
and we'll follow our normal like 6 p.m.
Yeah, today we just had to
celebrate birthday,
boost it up, and go on.
And
a
by the
little
time
early.
we do the next podcast, we might have a new pope.
Oh, we'll throw that. We'll throw that in there too. We'll throw that in there. See about the new pope as well.
Yeah, because they get the conclave together on the 7th.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna see how long it takes.
Oh, she said warfare history site.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right, guys.
Thank
we
you.
will see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thomas and Angela, for being on here. Much appreciated. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.